Hello everyone, Treelarous speaking here, and today I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion on EA's 2015 Star Wars Battlefront. Now, while I'm a huge Star Wars fan and a huge Battlefront fan, I'm going to try to give you guys my most unbiased opinion on the game. I will not be comparing this to the previous Battlefronts or any other action-adventure type of shooter game. I am going to use the term Star Wars feel, because this game is after all based on the Star Wars movie franchise. As you guys watch the review, keep in mind that this review is primarily based off the PC's Ultimate Edition, which is currently $5. Guys, $5 is a great value for the game. It's a great price for the amount of stuff you're getting in this game. I'm going to be honest right now and tell you that if you see the Ultimate Edition, whether it's on PC or console, for more than $15, stay away. Wait until Black Friday or wait until Christmas or next year where you can get it really cheap. So with all that said, let's get started. So the pros. So the thing that this game gets done so absolutely extremely well are the visuals and sounds. The game's maps look just like what the movies do. Part of the reason it has to do is because the designers and developers for Battlefront, that team went to the original locations of the films, they took pictures there, and they put these pictures into the Frostbite 4 engine. I mean, if that doesn't put you into the Star Wars universe enough, I don't know what does. You're literally playing a game in which the character you're controlling is in the original locations of the movies. I mean, that's crazy. That's just mind-blowing. It's weird how good and how much technology can do nowadays. But that's only the first part of it. Now we're going to talk about the sounds. The sounds of this game are just as good as the visuals, if not better. The gunfire, the explosions, the starfighter sounds, the small talks between the players in the game, it just sounds so good. It really puts you right into the Star Wars universe, and it really immerses you so much. With the sounds also comes the music, and the music is a huge part of Star Wars. The music of this game kicks in always at the right moments, and it just really gives you that satisfactory feel that Star Wars normally gives you. It's a really beautiful and great thing that this game does. So the next pro I have for you guys is that the game is really quite easy for a casual player to pick up. It's a really basic first-person shooter, and it's also a really basic third-person view. You have the right and left shoulders. Now, this doesn't limit any hardcore players from playing the game. You can still use really good guns, really good star cards, really good traits. You know, you can get your trait really up high, and you can start going on some really insane kill streaks. But this doesn't limit the casual player from still playing the game, meaning that you can have very competitive players in this game and casual players at the same time, since you can get some really big kill streaks by using grenades, other guns, rocket launchers, going inside an AT-ST or a starfighter, or even the AT-AT, and just absolutely wrecking everybody. I mean, there are counters to all of these units, but if you're a pro at this game, doesn't necessarily mean that you're always going to do good against somebody that's a casual player. And I think that's a really great thing that this game does, is that it is somewhat balanced in this aspect. Anyways, moving on to the third pro for this game, it's that it has so many game modes. It has 9 game modes in the base game and adds an additional 4 game modes with the DLC and Season Pass. Now, with this game having so many game modes, this can also lead to a bad thing, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, and really, currently, it's not really that bad of a thing anymore since so many people are playing the game now, since it's only $5, but it was a bad thing, and I'm pretty sure near the end of the lifespan of this game, it will continue to be a bad thing. So the last good thing I have to say about this game is how well it has progressed with its DLCs. I'm not talking about player base here. I'm talking about the amount of content and how good the game and maps look with its DLC. Each DLC has been better than the one before, in my opinion anyways. I know some people have the Death Star as a favorite or best bin, but for me, each one has been better than the one before, adding more content, more heroes, more star cards, more traits, more weapons, and of course, more maps, which is the main thing that this game has added. So, now we move on to the not so nice things about this game, the cons. The first con I have for this game is that there are too many game modes in the game. We've kind of gotten quantity over quality. Some game modes, like Walker Assault and Supremacy and Heroes vs Villains, are pretty decent. All of the DLC game modes are pretty good as well, unless you don't like flying. If you don't like flying in this game, which I have to be honest, the flying isn't really that well, the mechanics of it are kind of weird, you're not going to like 2 out of the 4 game modes. But personally, I think if you're a casual player, you won't mind it too much. I will tell you, flying with a mouse and keyboard can be a pain. I would make sure to have a controller next to you. You guys are seeing some gameplay probably right now of me trying to fly with a mouse and keyboard. But these pretty much are the only game modes that are decent. The other 5 or 6 are so-so. They're not terrible game modes, but they're really not that great either. And I think the reason that they're not that great may lie in the next con that I'm about to talk about. So the next con I have to talk to you guys about is the amount of depth that this game has. While it isn't as shallow as a puddle, it isn't quite as deep as an ocean. Think of Battlefront with all of its DLC in it as a lake that has a somewhat agreeable depth. Like I said before, it's not too shallow, but it's really not that deep either. The truth about this game is that after playing for about an hour and a half to 2 hours of playing it, if you don't like Star Wars, it's gonna become pretty bland and kind of just flat out boring. If you do like Star Wars, yeah, you might start not to like the game as much. You might still come back and play it every day like I do, but it might not be a thing that you always love, and you know, there might be some rounds that are really boring or really slow. The pace might get kind of slow is what I'm trying to say there. And I think this is one of the things that has hurt the game the most. I think the beta gave a little bit too much to the game and people were expecting a whole lot more at launch. Heck, the developers should have given more free stuff to the game. I think that would have changed things up more and spicing the game up and the gameplay up more. The star card system is also not really that great. Because, you know, the back-to-bomb, jump pack, pulse cannon, adrenaline stim, the bubble shield, the personal shield, that's what that is. The bodyguard trait, the berserker trait, and the bounty hunter trait, they're all really overpowered. A few more mentions would be the scatter gun, and oh, of course, I can't forget this one, the EE4. This thing is a powerhouse, and it is the most overpowered noobish gun in the game. Oh my goodness, you guys have no idea. It can one-shot people from mid to low range, and it's way overpowered. I don't even know if they ever really did a proper nerf on the gun because it stands out compared to every other gun in the game. Like, that's how powerful it is. You guys are probably going to see some gameplay of that right now. It's just way too good. So yeah, I mentioned a lot of star cards there, which kind of does balance, you know, the game out if everybody uses just those star cards. But then that makes the game a bit boring, right? So then you have the rest of the star cards, which they're okay, but they're pretty, you know, it's pretty obvious that you can tell that they're not as strong or as powerful as the rest of them are. With all that being said, the game does become a little repetitive, and that's why I said before you guys might get a little bit bored of it, or some rounds might seem kind of slow, even if they're actually not. So going on with depth, this is going to tie into what I had to say before about game modes. So this is something that's a little bit odd to talk about, but I thought I would mention it because I think it would have made the game much more fun. So basically, if you guys have a blaster pistol, right, and no jump pack, I think it would make sense that you could sprint faster, roll around faster, and just in general be more agile. Maybe you would have a little bit less health though, or maybe a little bit less armor. But if you had a heavy blaster and a jump pack, sure, you can use the jump pack to get around, but maybe you shouldn't be able to roll, or maybe you're a bit slower, or maybe you have a bit more health, you know, or maybe if somebody shoots your jump pack, it has a chance of it blowing up and you dying. You know, these are really small little things that I think DICE and EA should have looked into, because it would have created so much more depth to the game. You know, some people maybe wouldn't want to abuse the jump pack all the time, or stuff like that, and I think this would have been so good to have, because it would have made the rest of the 5 or 6 game modes that I didn't mention earlier so much better. I mean, it would just create so much more depth, and I think the game modes would no longer feel like quantity over quality, because each game mode is different, don't get me wrong. It's just that you in general play your character the same throughout. You play somebody with a heavy blaster and jump pack at the same pace as you play somebody with just a blaster pistol. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say there? I'm not sure if you guys do, but you know, it's the same pace, and I think that's also part of the reason why it can get a little boring after a couple hours of playing the game straight. Or it may also get a little boring in that aspect because the game might feel a little bit slower since you're using the same star cards and you're playing the game at the same pace, even though, and you know, it becoming repetitive there. I think another thing that EA and DICE should have looked into were the spawns for the game. In general, for all the types of game modes, all the maps, the spawns are really pretty bad, because you always spawn in pretty much the same 2 or 3 locations, and people can spawn kill really quickly. They can just camp right over you or camp right by you, and they could just take you out just like that, and it's really not good. I mean, people in Starfighters, they can keep doing strafe runs in the same locations. On certain maps, heroes can absolutely dominate. I'm talking about Bespin and Death Star in particular, but it can happen in pretty much any type of map. So this is one thing that, you know, one con that's in the game. You know, it's kind of a flaw in the game itself. Another con I have here that kind of ties in the game is some of the heroes. Some of the heroes feel a little bit clunky. I'm talking mainly about the lightsaber wielders, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. They're kind of clunky, they're not very fluent, it's really kind of weird. Overall though, the heroes do all have very unique abilities, which is actually a pro that I forgot to mention before. But some of the heroes, some of them, all of them do have a bit of clunkiness to them, and I really don't like the lag or sometimes the buffer time there is after they get hit by a special ability or something like that. They kind of just freeze there. If there would at least be an animation of them falling down or getting knocked down, that would help a little bit. But if they just kind of stand there, it makes them a much more vulnerable target, and it's not good. But there you go. There's 2 cons and a pro right there. Another small con I have is the amount of time you're on the loading screens. Sometimes you can literally read a comic book with the amount of time that you're just waiting to play the game. I will not talk about this too much though, since this really does depend on your console and PC specs as well as your internet speeds. Moving to another con, this one kind of has to do with why the game died before, almost died, the DLC in particular, before this $5 sale. And it's because of hackers. And this is really catered toward PC players, console players, you don't have too much to worry about here. But PC players, watch out, there will be a lot of hackers. So, the reason that hackers went out in force not too long ago is pretty simple. EA and DICE did really nothing to stop them. Basically, Battlefront has, or had, I'm not too sure anymore because it seems like there are less hackers playing the game now, but they had or has an anti-cheat code in the game somewhere that bans a player regardless if they are hacking or not based on their kill and death ratio. So if hackers nowadays know that they have to die a certain amount of times compared to the kills, then they will die. They will respawn themselves, they will jump off the map, or they will purposely let you kill them, and you'll think that, yeah, I killed a hacker, but no, it's that they're letting you kill them. Now this can also work in reverse against really good players. Normal players that are just, you know, really good at the game get kicked without hacking because their kill death ratio became so high. You know, maybe they got as Bosk 100 or over 100 kills and maybe only a couple of deaths, you know, and they will get kicked for that, which makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And then, you know, the people that get kicked that didn't hack will go on YouTube or Reddit and they will complain about this, and this will hurt the community. But more importantly, the hackers themselves are hurting the community because they can get away with hacking. And people will not want to play a game where they know they're, you know, getting treated unfairly. So that's the main reason why PC's Battlefront was dying. And while, you know, it may end up dying for this reason again in a couple of months, because hackers might come back to the game since they know they will notice that more people are playing it. I don't know why they want to hack. I mean, I guess they just want an advantage. That would be the simple answer, and that's probably the main answer. But that's what really hurt the game before this $5 sale, and I believe that's what will hurt this game by the end of the year once the new Battlefront rolls out. The last con I have for you guys is the lack of single player content. Now this may or may not matter too much to you, but I am gonna make my best point here on why this single player content should matter to you. The single player stuff in this game is pretty much as much content as you're gonna get in an alpha or beta. It's really simple, and if you got bored of playing the multiplayer, then the single player stuff, oh, you're probably gonna be bored in less than 10 minutes. Seriously, I'm not joking, no sarcasm there. What you have in single player are some co-op missions that include training, battles, and survival. In survival, you have to survive 15 waves of enemies in a very repetitive fashion, and that does get boring so fast. You guys have no idea. In training, you just play the basic training missions and stuff like that. In battles, well, that one's a little more fun. You have a little more freedom on what you can do, but it is still very basic and it can still get very repetitive. Next, for the single player content, you have Skirmish. Skirmish has what resembles an offline version of Walker's Assault and an offline version of Fighter Squadron, which really isn't too bad. But think about this. Think about what I'm about to tell you right now. This includes none of the DLC maps. None of them. So if you did pay for the Ultimate Edition when the game was, near full price or half price or whatever, then once the servers get shut down or the game dies, you're going to be stuck with the base single player stuff. And it's kind of like I mentioned before. The single player stuff is very basic. It's really not much bigger than an alpha or a beta. And it just feels like a simulation. It loses all that Star Wars feel in a really short amount of time. So all in all, I wouldn't really recommend getting this game if it's more than $15. And I'm talking about the Ultimate Edition, by the way, and for any console or for the PC. It was $5 as of I'm making this video, and it'll probably be $5 again around Black Friday or the holiday season for PC. If you can get it then, I would encourage you to do so, because it is worth it. $5 is worth the amount of content you are getting for this game, but more than 15 is definitely not. Also, if you are going to get the stuff with the DLC, make sure to friend as many people as you can that have the DLC content. Whether you're on Xbox with Xbox Live, or you're on PlayStation with PlayStation Plus, or you're on PC with Origin, just make sure to friend as many people that you want that are actually going to want to play the DLC stuff with you guys in private matches once the servers either get shut down or once, there aren't really enough people playing the DLC again. Also, if you guys have the PC version or are thinking about getting the Ultimate Edition at some point, go ahead and friend me for Origin. My in-game name is Treelarous. That's where you can friend me. I'm currently setting up a couple of private servers and a couple of, I don't know what you would call it exactly. I guess public servers in general, even though right now there are a lot of people playing the games, just to play the DLC stuff. Because let's face it, if you bought the game with the DLC, you're going to want to play the DLC as much as you can. So now comes the thing that many of you have been waiting for, my percentage score. So I'm going to give Battlefront a 65%. Yeah, I know. Like I said guys before, this was honest. I'm a huge fan of this game. I still play it every day and I love it. But it probably would have scored easily another 5 to 10% points higher if the game would have actually, had more people playing it, I guess. The DLC. Right now the player base is going back up, but it's not consistent. Some days there's a whole ton of people playing it, other days there's like nobody. This can also do to EA and DICE servers. You will get kicked out from a game due to their servers from time to time. It is very annoying, but that will happen to you, I can guarantee you. And it won't be your Wi-Fi's fault or your PC or console's fault. It'll just be that EA or DICE have decided to, we're gonna kick this guy out of the server, put him back on the starting screen so you can do it again. I do not know why they can't fix that. Does not seem like a hard problem. But anyways, it's like I said, I'm going to give it a 65%. If there were more people playing the DLC consistently, it could have easily gained, about 7 more percentage points or so. But that's pretty much my final thing for the video. There is a couple of things that I didn't mention in the video, such as mods or an unreleased game mode called Hero Blast, which I have talked about on the channel before. I'll leave some links to some videos down in the description below if you want to check it out. But yeah, other than, the Hero Blast and mods, I think those two things really could have helped the game survive, so to say. I don't know about the mod so much. I know Hero Blast technically is a mod for PC, and only for PC. I've not seen anything like Hero Blast for consoles. I don't know why they never released it. My computer ran perfectly fine. Sure, there were a couple of bugs here and there, but this seemed like it all could have been, patched up very quickly. It seemed like the team was almost done with it, and they never did it. They never finished it off. By the way, for those of you guys wondering, Hero Blast is a game mode only available on PC for the people that decided to mod it, that you play like normal, like a normal blast round, except with heroes. You constantly respawn as a hero of your choice. And I have to say, most of the heroes are pretty well balanced out besides Bosk and Chewbacca. Those two from the Death Star DLC are the only ones that are really kind of overpowered. Everybody else is really evenly matched. Even Lando and Jin actually can do pretty well. Same thing with Greedo and Dengar. Everybody's balanced but them two. Anyways guys, that's all I have to say for the review. Remember that this was my honest opinion on the game. I hope it was as unbiased as possible, and I want to know what your thoughts are on the game right now. I have to say, right now, I think the game is doing much better than it has in a long time. Like launch, like literally, that's how good I think the game is doing right now. I'd also like to know if you guys are planning to get the sequel, which I hope is much better. It seems like it's much better. It seems like it's the game we wanted first time around, kind of like Destiny, when it comes out, because I know I'm going to be getting it. If you liked the video, then make sure to leave a like. If you disagreed with me, then go ahead and dislike or tell me in the comment section down below what you disagreed with. Remember, it's an opinion, and you guys can obviously defer with what I have just said. I would love to talk about all things Star Wars and mainly all the rights and wrongs that this game did with you guys down below. And if you guys love Star Wars, we'll get along just fine. I'm sure of it. Also, if you guys do like Minecraft or Star Wars, then go ahead and take a look around my channel. I'm sure you guys will find something that you'll like. But I've been Treelarous speaking here, and I'll be back very soon with a gameplay video, and back in about a month for my next game review. And oh boy, it's gonna be a bit of a long review. Anyways, I hope this review gave you another look at the game, and that it also gave you a bit of insight on other multiplayer games and the bad and good things that can be in them or happen, whether it's hackers, the amount of depth in the game, or just the multiplayer pace of the game. But with all that said, I'll see you guys back in the next one. Bye.